Romans burned their hair with chemicals. They used stinging mixtures of goat fat and beechwood ash, creating a caustic soap that ate away at the scalp. But that wasn't the most cruel thing they did for beauty. It was a daily torture they volunteered for. And today we'll learn why a single hairstyle could cost one's health and why women are still willing to pay that price. In ancient Rome, beauty wasn't just fashion, it was currency. The currency of power, status, and influence. In a rootless society, your hairstyle said everything about you. How much money you had, your social status, and how much you were willing to risk for beauty. Complex, towering structures required hours of labor and iron discipline to maintain, and that willingness to risk has always seemed the most valuable thing. But how did an ordinary dark-haired woman become the ideal of beauty? Why did she need to destroy her natural self? The story we'll tell begins with war against the Germanic tribes, continues with the envy of slavery as Roman matrons coveted the golden locks of their captives, and ends with chemicals that burn hair and skin. This is the story of how beauty is created and how much it costs. In the early Republic, everything was simple. Women wore their hair in a simple bun, modestly, without excess. Jewelry was almost non-existent. Beauty was valued in virtue and severity, not in elaborate hairstyles. But the Republic ended. With the advent of the Empire, everything changed. One thing women were willing to do anything for: blonde hair. Ash blonde, almost white, almost golden. It was a texture unlike anything in the empire, the hair of northern captives, the hair of conquered lands. When the Roman legions conquered Germania and Gaul, they brought home more than just booty and slaves. They brought new, dangerous icons of beauty. Suddenly, blonde Germanic women became a symbol of status, a dream, an unattainable ideal, and Roman women, whose hair was naturally raven black, began a desperate fight against genetics. They burned their scalps with harsh lye or donned wigs shorn from the heads of the defeated, doing whatever it took to steal that golden power. If you couldn't afford an expensive wig made from the hair of captive women, you made it yourself at home. And it was hell. Imagine a cocktail of wood ash, fermented urine, pigeon droppings, and goat fat. It's not cosmetics, it's lye. It's a chemical that corrodes the pigment in your hair and corrodes your skin. But the women mixed this mixture, they applied it to their hair and waited. Then the strangest thing happened. The woman put on a hat without a top. Yes, you heard correctly. A specially designed device that looks like a torture device. Her hair was threaded through a hole in the hat and hung down the sides, like some kind of grim coiffure. And she sat, for hours, in the blazing sun. The chemicals ate away at her hair, the sun baked her skin, and she waited, praying for her hair to turn blonde before it burned away completely. The result of these toxic mixtures was terrifyingly unpredictable. Sometimes, against the odds, her hair turned light, but often it became stiff as dried straw and began to break in her hands. Sometimes the lye burned so deep that her scalp would rot from infection. Sometimes her hair would fall out completely, leaving her bald. But to her, the pain was worth the price. She achieved her goal. Her hair was light, blonde. It was fashion. It was status. 2,000 years later, we no longer apply lye to our hair, but the beauty industry remains just as cruel. In the Middle Ages, women poisoned themselves with lead to make their skin pale. In the Victorian era, women barely breathed in corsets, deforming their ribs for a slim waist. In the 20th century, women starved themselves to be thin. Today, they undergo injections, chemical peels, and surgeries. The tools change, the chemistry changes, but the pattern remains the same. We are willing to take risks for beauty. We know the price, and we pay it anyway. But there's one
She looks
thing
absolutely
everyone
stunning.
hides.
I know,
When a
right?
woman achieves the ideal of beauty, no one sees the price she paid. They only see the results. Black hair becomes light, wrinkles disappear, skin looks youthful, and no one thinks about what happened behind the scenes, about the burned skin, about hair loss, about sleepless nights, about money spent on looking better. The mythology of beauty is based on this silence, on this concealment of the price. And perhaps the strangest thing about all this is that we understand it. We know that beauty is temporary. We know the price is high. We've seen the results: lost hair, sunburned skin, ruined health. And yet we continue to do it. It's illogical, but it's very, very human. 2,000 years later, a new blonde stands before the mirror. Not from Rome, from our time. She doesn't use lye, she uses chemicals developed in laboratories that are supposed to be safer. Maybe they are, maybe not. But the result is the same. The hair is blonde, status is achieved, the price is paid. Maybe it's battered hair. Maybe it's a bald spot that will have to be hidden with wigs. Maybe it's just hours spent on care and maintenance. But she did it, because every era has its ideal of beauty, and in every era, women are willing to pay the price. The story of the blonde from ancient Rome is not a story about stupidity or vanity. It's a story about what it means to be human, about the power of beauty, about how we are willing to sacrifice our health, our money, our bodies for the sake of being beautiful, for the sake of status, for the sake of being noticed. Methods change, times change, but the truth remains the same, and it's an eternal, unchanging part of what it means to be human. We want to be beautiful, and we're willing to do anything for it, even if it costs us our hair.